So now let us talk about another important category of commands called as Linux process managements. So in case of the Linux operating system, what exactly mean by the process? Process is nothing but an executing instance of an program. The instance from the whole program which is actually running on the processor is nothing but the process. And process management involves like a creation of the process, monitoring of the process and control of the process. So we will try to see those aspects, some of the useful commands from these aspects, right. So whenever any process is created, it has some of the parameters like process ID is there, okay. Another is like PPID, parent process ID, user ID, state, in which state basically that whether it is in running state, whether it has completed its states and so on. So basically in the Linux there are two types of process. One is background process. So background process is nothing but a process which runs in the background from the terminal. So as of now we have seen that whenever you write, like you type any command, okay, so that particular command occupies the terminal. So till the moment that command has completed its task. But there are the scenarios like we will see in the next sessions where we can write the scripts like a file containing commands which is called as basically the scripts. When we try to run those scripts, okay, it takes large amount of time to complete, okay. So there are so many instances where it requires that application or that particular process requires the time to complete. In that particular scenario, if we directly running that particular process from that particular script from the terminal, it will occupy the terminal till the moment it completes. So in between, if we want to run some another command on that particular terminal, in that particular case it will be difficult to run, because already one particular command or one particular script has, or that particular process has occupied the terminal. So if I want to send some of the process to the background, what is the way by which we can do that particular thing, okay. So with that aspect, okay, we can take the process or we can send the process back to the current terminal using the AND symbol. So along with that particular command, if we pass this particular symbol, then it sends that process to the background. So basically in the Linux or any operating system, there are so many processes running at the back end, okay, which are doing multiple operations which are actually not visible to users, but those processes are crucial for maintaining the system stability and everything, okay. So from the user perspective as well, when we are dealing or running some commands from the terminal, we can send some of the process in the background, okay, and whenever we require, we can take them in the forefront. One kind of process is the background process, okay. So you can just take an example of it. So if I am running this sleep command and I am telling that, okay, for these many seconds I want to run this particular sleep command. Sleep command is basically brings that particular CPU in the idle states, okay, and with this particular sign, okay, along with this particular command I pass this sign, it means that this particular process, our terminal will put it into the backend and will provide us an ID. So now once that particular process has kept into the background, that now terminal is available to run another commands like ls or whatever the another commands we want to run, we can run it, and at the backend this particular process will be continuing running. Another type of process is the foreground command, okay, which are actually nothing but the commands or the processes which occupy the terminal. So when this particular process is running, we cannot run another process on that particular terminal. Okay. So, these are nothing but the processes that run directly from the terminal and occupy it till they finish, right. And let us say for example, in the previous case, if I have sent some of the commands in the background, I want to bring them into the foreground, okay, then I can use the keyword fg to make it happen, right. So, just take an example, the same with this particular command, okay, and with this symbol we had put this particular process in the background, okay, and it has provided me this particular ID. So, now with this ID, if I pass to this command, okay, fg, then this particular number, okay, with this particular symbol, then now it is available in the foreground. So, now this particular command will start running on the terminal, it will look on the terminal. So, it means that I can, while running some of the commands or some scripts in the on the terminal, I can put some of the processes in the background, and I can bring them as and when I required. So, this is these are generic in two types of processes in Linux. So, background process and the foreground process, right. So, now another important thing with respect to the process is that different states. So, whenever you are running any command, and every command, as I had mentioned earlier, every command is associated with one process, right. So, once the one command is run, one process is created associated with that. So, with respect to that process, so generally the process are in what states? So, either process may be in the running state, okay, or maybe that is in sleeping state. It means that while the process is running, some another high priority process comes in, and our scheduler keeps that particular process into the waiting state. Like there are some input output operations, or maybe different operations, high priority process will be there. So, those process which are actually in a waiting state are nothing but the sleeping state, right. So, whenever the state is yes, it means that that process is sleeping or waiting. So, another state is like a stopped, which indicates that okay, this particular process has stopped. Usually the signals like seek stop makes the processes into the stop state. Another type of state is zombie, okay. Zombie process is nothing but actually the process has completed its execution, but the cleaning with respect to that process is yet to be done. So, somehow though the process has completed, but somehow whatever the memory occupancy with respect to that data has not been cleaned properly. So, those steps that particular state of the process is called as the zombie state. So, these are different states while the process is in process running on the operating system. So, all these things we can monitor in the through the process management commands and like that, right. So, let us try to see some of the useful Linux process management commands. Very first thing, if I want to display the process in the Linux, if I want to see how many processes are basically currently running, or what are the process available on that particular system as of now. So, the PS is one of the command by which you can see the process currently running on the system. So, if I run or fire this particular command, you can see that currently these many number of processes are running on that particular system. These are the PIDs, okay, associated with those process, okay, and from which terminal they are actually running on, okay, and the time basically, and the basically what exactly that command is. So, all these aspects is provided with the help of the PS command, right. And if I want to see the list of all process, not only running, but all whether those has been killed or stopped or zombie, everything. If I want to know that, then I can pass this particular additional parameter to it. So, by which you can get the details of all the processes on the system. And if I want to get more information, then along with hyphen e, if I pass the f parameter, means the full, okay, I will get the full information about the process. In that particular scenario, let us say in this particular case, if I pass this on my system, okay, there are different processes, okay, with respect to having the process like user, this is the UID, then this is the process ID, then this is the parent process ID, this is the state, right, and from which time actually those exactly they are running, okay, and the command basically that particular process has been fired through which, okay. So all the information regarding the process on the system can be seen from this particular command ps-ef, that actually list of all process with the full information. Now another scenario where I want to see the real time information about the running process. In that particular case, there is a simple utility. If you are running some process on that particular system or on that particular node, if you just go to that particular node or on that particular system, and from the terminal if you fire this top command, okay, it will give an generic information, okay. In many cases it helps to see whether that particular process is occupying the CPU like system resources or not. So those aspects, those information, runtime information we can get from the top command. So you can see that with this command, like there are different processes are running, okay, and who actually has fired that particular process, okay, what is the percentage utilization of the CPU, percentage utilization of the GPU by that particular process. So all information we get through this top command. So here you can see that this genome cell is currently at this moment is occupying 1% of CPU, 4.8% of the like memory, and this particular user has fired that particular command. So likewise the different aspects it provides. So here on the top as well there are like different aspects like memory related. So how much memory is total on that particular system at this moment, how much it is freely, how much actually it has been used. So this particular command helps in a generic way to identify or see like occupancy of your like system resources. So with this command we can get the runtime information of the processes and how they are actually utilizing the resources and related information. So now another aspect, like if there is any process running and in between I want to kill that particular process, right. So what is the respective command? So specifically in case of like high performance computing system or the servers levels, there are so many process running, and from the admin perspective there may be some of the process which are actually putting so much load on the system, and by which the system is getting heated. Now one want to maintain that particular system, and there are the necessity that some of the process need to kill because they are utilizing, over utilizing the resources. So in that particular case we can fire some of the commands in order to kill that process, right. So if I want to terminate or kill the process, I can use the command in the Linux called as the kill. So you just take an example here, okay. Earlier we have seen the example. Here one command I have run it and I put it into the backend, right. So now I will see that, okay, now the currently running processes on my system. So you can see that, okay, 22189, this process with PID, okay, is running on the system, okay, and this is the command basically it is running, okay. Now I want to somehow I want to kill this particular process, right. So I will just pass on the process ID of this process, okay, to the kill command, right. If I just pass it and if I fire this particular command, then this process will be killed. And once again if I check the list of the running processes, you can see that whatever the 189 22189, that particular process has been killed. So, you can see that there is no process with this PID currently available, and it says that okay, now this process has been terminated. So, likewise we can kill the process. So, while killing as well, specifically generally there are like a different signals, as we have seen in the in case of stop. If I want to stop the process, there are different signals. So, in case of the killing as well, generally system generates some of the signals. So, if I do not pass anything, okay, by default, okay, this seek term 15 signal will be called, and this is the by default signal. There are some other signals which is having the different perspective. Okay. If I want to forcefully terminate any particular process, then I can pass the signal line, or I want to stop the process or pause the process, then I can pass the seek stop signal. Okay. And if I want to resume that particular process, then I can seek continue signal. Okay. So, these are the different signals, and with the help of those signals, okay, we can work with the different processes on the system, right. So, here as I had mentioned in the previous example, we had not provided any specific signal. It means that by default at the background it has run this seek term signal, and this particular process has been killed, right. So, now in case of process management, there are another important concepts where here I will briefly talk about. So, these concepts are very essential in case of working on the high performance computing kind of system, as this particular sessions or the operating sessions on the operating systems are the part of the introduction to high performance computing system. We need to understand some of the aspects of the operating system in that direction. So, in case of the high performance computing system, basically there are multiple nodes having the number of cores within those nodes, and those all are working in synchronously, okay, to perform a single task. So, in those aspects there should be from the operating system side support to work on the multiple cores or multiple with the multiple cores with the multiple processes spawning on them, right. So, in those aspects, okay, so while working on the multiple cores, okay, there are the concepts as a multitasking, multi-threading in those aspects as well, where every process is associated with one core, or maybe every thread is associated with one core, and all of them will be working synchronously to perform a single task. So, in that aspects it is important to understand what exactly the multitasking. Basically the multitasking is nothing but there are multiple processes running at the same time, and actually the backend kernel of the Linux operating system takes care of making it happen there with the different techniques like context switching and those things. We have seen it earlier when we try to understood and studied the Linux kernel sub components, right. So, when we talk about the multiprocessing, it means what exactly means by the multiprocessing. In this particular case, basically there are different applications running, okay, and every application have corresponding one process, right. And at the back end, okay, basically the kernel takes care of all these process, the context switching and the inter-process communication and everything, and it makes it happens. So, this is nothing but a multiprocessing scenario. Another is like a multi-threading. So, there is a one single process, but there is within that particular process there are multiple threads. So, basically the thread is the part of the process, lightweight entity of the process we can talk, right. So, in case of the multi-threading, basically what happens, there is only single process, and within that particular process there are multiple threads has been spawned, and every thread does some respective operations, okay. This subtask will be completed, and these aspects as well from the kernel perspective, it provides the feasibility to handle such kinds of scenario with respect to multi-threading as well. As we have seen that memory management units which takes care of how the memory or the resources with respect to memory are shared among the different threads or the process on that particular system. So, different subcomponents of the Linux operating system takes care of this, and actually at the back end, because it provides those feasibilities, it is easy from the user perspective to write parallel applications having like which are implemented in the high level programming models like OpenMP, MPI. So, from the OS perspective, it provides those capabilities, so that at the high level we can write the programs, and when it goes to the low level, these features basically helps them to accomplish the parallel programming aspects, and that is very essential while working on the high performance kind of system for developing the different applications which makes use of it. Now, let us try to see another aspects of Linux processing, Linux commands. We will try to see some of the interesting Linux text processing commands. Basically, Linux provides a powerful tools or utilities for processing the text. That is one of the unique feature of Linux, and with these tools many scientists or engineers prefer this particular operating system, okay, for doing the different tasks, automating their like multiple tasks on the system and so on. And basically these as I mentioned, okay, these text processing commands helps very much while automating or writing the scripts. So, how we can write the scripts and those things we will try to see in the next session. But these are the important commands which widely and aggressively used in the automation of tasks. Now, let us see some of the like widely used and interesting commands with respect to text processing in the Linux. Let us say first command is regarding the searching of pattern in a file. Let us say for example, for in that particular case, okay, we use the command called as the grep. So, let us see the scenario. Okay. So, consider that there is a file, okay, and having this particular content. Okay. There are like 4 lines in this particular file. Okay. Now, I want to do some processing on this particular content. So, the very first thing in this particular file, let us say I want to search this parameter, I want to search a lines which is having this word with. So, in that particular case, I can use the grep command like this. I just put the command and then in the quote I pass the pattern I want to search in this particular file, file 3. It means that I want to get the entries in this particular file which matches this pattern. So, if I fire this command, you can see that it has printed those lines, okay, which is having the word with, right. So, likewise, if also if I want to say that, you can observe that, okay, there were like 4 lines, but in the 2 lines only there was the with. So, other lines were actually not printed with this command. It means that it searches or prints only those commands which is having this particular pattern. Also, if I want to print the line numbers, then I can pass this particular parameter, then you can see that at line 1 and at line 3 there is a pattern match, right, string is matched and we can search. So, in this way we can use the grep command, right. Not only in the file, if I want to recursively search some patterns or the strings in the file, I can use grep command by passing this particular word. So, let us take an example in this particular directory, okay, there are so many files, okay, and I want to search this keyword in the different files, okay, I want to search in which particular file this particular keyword not only in the like files, but also want to check within the going into the directories as well. So, whatever the directories are present or whatever the files are present in that my directory, search this particular pattern. So, in that particular case we use the commands like this grep -r recursively you search this particular pattern, and star means that within the from the current directory you need to start. Okay, so it starts and you can see that this particular wait pattern has been found in the file 3, okay, as well as it has found in the child.txt file which is in the text directory, in this particular directory. So, likewise I can use the grep command to for the searching of the string or pattern in the files. Now, another important aspect is the pattern scanning and pattern processing. Okay, for that particular purpose, we can use the AWK command. Okay, basically it allows the pattern scanning and text extraction and data manipulation. It is actually very useful tools while doing the automations, while working with the files in the Linux operating system and so on. Like different operations like filtering, transforming, generating formatted outputs and so many things. We will try to see some flavors of this particular utility here with some examples. Let us take an example quickly. So, if there is, let us say for example, this is the file, okay, and which contains this particular data. There is one direct like the another line, and there are like 3 columns. This is one column, okay, another column and third column, right. So, now I want to print, okay, the column, first column and the third column. So, we can use this particular command in this way. So, awk then print the column 1 and column 3 of this particular file. So, if I fire this particular command, then you can see that from this particular file, okay, so this particular column 1 has been printed and column 3 has been printed. So, the column 2 has been omitted, right. Now, another aspect, another use case like filtering rows based on the condition, we can also pass the conditions to the awk commands. Let us say for example, from the column 3 just match this particular pattern and print only those lines which is having this yum character, and for that from that perspective as well just only print the first column. It means that you can see that yum here is one entry, there is another entry, right, from column number 3. So, these 2 entries will be identified, and from that we are telling that okay, just print the first column. It means that just print the John keyword and the Bob keyword. So, if I see the output of this one, okay, then you can see that John and Bob has been printed. So, this is another interesting use case. Also, we can do the arithmetic operations on this within the same file. Let us say for example, there are like consider these are the ages of this particular men or the these persons, like Alice is the female, John is the male and Bob is the male, and they have the corresponding ages. So, now I want to multiply it with some factor to age and the print. So, in this particular case let us consider that, okay. So, I want to print the people, okay, people's by multiplying by 2 with their ages. Let us say for example, print 1 and the print their ages by multiplying with 2. So, you can see that if I print that those aspects, okay. So, John we have printed $1 and then the another column there like ages multiplied by 2, like 25 multiplied by 2. Here as well Alice 30 multiplied by 2 and 28 multiplied by 2. So, likewise arithmetic operations as well we can do by using the awk AWK utility, right. So, here we have done the multiplication, we can do any other operation arithmetic operations as we require, right. Then also we can do something like pattern matching. If I want to search in the file and only print the lines which is having the name John, with this we can just print, okay, we have printed the John, this particular only first line. If I want to print only the males, okay, whatever this particular pattern matches, the corresponding lines will be printed. So, something like pattern matching things as well we can perform with awk. Another important command in the text processing is like how to sort the lines of text file. Let us say in that particular case we use the command called as the sort. So, basically it arranges lines of text files and alphabetically, numerically, or whatever the way we provide them criteria. Let us quickly talk about how it can be utilized to arrange or the sort file based on the alphabetically. So, just take an example, a file containing these lines of quotes, okay, like these lines, okay, which is having. So, you can see that the first line actually it starts with M, second A, and third one with green. So, if I give this file to this particular sort command, then actually it rearranges the file in the alphabetical order. You can see alphabetically those file, that particular file is now sorted. There are like numerous cases where we require such kinds of things. Also, numerically sorting is also possible, okay, in with the same command, okay. Let us say this is the file and which having some numerical numbers within that particular file, and if we pass this particular file to this particular sort command, it numerically sorts that particular content in that particular file, right. Then if I want to reverse print the that pattern in the reverse order, in the reverse sorted order, then if I just pass the -r parameter to the sort command, then it prints the results in a reverse order, right. Another thing that if I want to omit repeated lines from the file, okay, or if I want to print the only unique files in the from the file, then I can use the command called as the unique. Basically, unique command filter out the duplicate lines from the sorted input. It means that first we need to sort that particular file, and from that particular file whatever the duplicate entries are there, basically unique keyword removes those duplicate entries and prints the results. Just take an example here, let us say in file 2 there are two entries, this one mango is yellow and mango is yellow, these are the two entries, okay. So, basically sort command what the unique command what it does, initially we need to sort that particular file with the sort, okay, and then pass the output of this particular thing to this command, and after that we get the result like that. You can see that this mango is yellow now has been printed with only one entry, here there were two entries of it, right. So, likewise we can sort, right. And now here one another important parameter we have seen that actually this parameter basically it is called as the pipe. Basically this is nothing but this basically passes the output of one command, basically it passes, let us say for example there is command 1, okay, and there is some output of this particular command. So, within the same line itself we can pass the output of this command as an input to another command, let us say command 2. So, for that particular purpose basically this pipe parameter is used, right. Now, there are some other operations, like if I want to count the content of a file, okay. So, for that I can use the WC command. Let us quickly see those its usabilities, like a cat file 2. So, these are the contents of this file and I want to see the lines. So, first with the WC, and if I pass the file, it shows like 4 lines are there, 11 like 11 words are there, 61 characters. One by one as well I can put. If I just pass the parameters like WC-L to the file, it gives me that 4 lines are there. If I want to count the words, okay, I can pass the -w to this WC commands, and if I want to count the characters, likewise I can count the characters as well. Then if I want to in the file, if I want to print, if there is a very big file and I want to print only the some like lines from the head or some lines from the tail, I can use in those scenarios like a head or tail commands. Okay. So in case of the head command, let's say take an example of the file which is having the content like mango is yellow, okay, something like that, this command, but I want to print only these 2 lines. Okay, so I can pass that to the head command, head -2 and the file 2. So you can see that, okay, only 2 lines has been printed. Okay. Similarly, from the bottom, if I want to print the lines from any file, okay, I can use the tail command, and here I am telling that only 2 lines should be printed from the file 2. So these 2 lines has been printed, right. So likewise we can print some specific number of lines from the given like big file on the terminal, right. So for in that particular case I can use the head and tail commands. Now another, like if I want to compare the files, 2 files, then there is a command called as the diff is there. So diff, then file 1 and file 2, if I pass, okay, then it gives me the difference between these 2 files. If there is requirement to merge the lines of the files, then I can use the paste command. Okay. Then if I want to truncate or translate or delete some of the characters, I can use the tr command. And as we have seen the awk awk command, grep command, there is another interesting utility called as the sed to stream the editor for filtering and transforming the text. So these are some of the widely used text processing commands in the Linux. So as of now we have seen the different types of commands, specifically while dealing with the process management, as well as dealing with the texts in the file. So in the coming sessions we will try to see more different aspects of Linux commands. In the coming slides we will try to see different types of the commands. Thank you.